What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Touchline Talk Show. Really good show in store for you, including our first interview on the Touchline Talk Show. That will be coming up in a little bit. You won't want to miss that. First, though, as always, we're going to kind of go top news of the week. Not as chaotic as some other weeks, of course. Always transfer rumors. Transfers always happening. Most recent high profile one is where we're going to start, and that is Sadio Mane. Officially a Bayern Munich player as of Wednesday morning, this morning. It was rumored for a while. He made it clear he was going to leave Liverpool. It seemed like Bayern was only ever going to be the destination, but now it is official. He was there with his jersey, ready to go. He leaves Liverpool with, of course, way more than this, but 90 Premier League goals, 24 Champions League goals in his 6 seasons at Anfield, and will go down as one of the Liverpool greats, not only because of the numbers he put up and the trophies he won, but because of his role in this Liverpool era. Choosing to go a different direction and to pursue something else at this point leaves his legacy as a complicated one, because that's where Liverpool's at right now in terms of how good this team has been and the trophies they have to show for it. I've talked about this before, of how do you sort of make sense of all of this, and you can spin it just about any way you want. Of if Manchester City wasn't there, look at what they would have, or this is all they do have, and they were shootouts away from no trophies this year after losing a Champions League final and coming up just short in the Premier League. So you can look at it any way you want. Mane's not going to have an opportunity to go win a treble or a double or something that next season that might change that discussion. But the reality is this is one of the best Liverpool eras of all time. I don't view them in the context of, or I very much do view them in the context of Manchester City. This is not just a really good team they're going up against. This is arguably the best team in Premier League history. Nobody is consistently putting up points totals that Manchester City has, which means there's a real case that this Liverpool team, this era, this addition, is at the very least a top 3 group in Premier League history. And Sadio Mane was a huge part of that. And nobody's ever going to be able to sort of separate him from this no matter what happens next, because he was there for the beginning of it to win the Premier League, got a Champions League. He is forever linked, and was very clear about the fact that he will be Liverpool. He said in one of his videos, "I'll be Liverpool's number 1 fan still." He just wanted a different opportunity, so he's going to get that at Bayern Munich. Mane is Bayern's 3rd signing of the summer, and I do want to highlight all 3 of them quickly because we haven't gotten a chance to talk about them, and it goes into a larger discussion about Bayern I find very interesting. The other 2, Ryan Gravenberch, young Dutch international from Ajax, excellent young player, very promising, going to be great. Talked about him as the potential breakout star for the Netherlands national team at the World Cup. And then the other one is Noussair Mazraoui, also from Ajax. Combined, these 3 players have 97 Champions League appearances. And it would be way more if you didn't have 2 guys in their early and mid-20s as part of this group. These are not your Darwin Nunez-esque or Luis Diaz-esque signings, just to pick a couple names that came to mind, where it's sort of going up to that next level. This is not that at all. Sorry about that. What Bayern has done is what Bayern had to do. Retool with players ready to contribute right away, who will not be phased by the expectations that come with being Bayern Munich in the Champions League. This is not about the Bundesliga. It never is about the Bundesliga for Bayern. But I talked about at the end of the season, in the European hierarchy, they are slipping, and they needed to do something. And so you bring in one of the more sought after young players in the world. Even if he doesn't play a key role right away, he's going to have a great future. And he is already a regular starter for a team that was awfully impressive in the Champions League last season. And you bring in another incredibly accomplished player who just happens to play the position that might be the biggest question mark on your team, and that is right back. Mazraoui has been underrated for a long time. He is an excellent, excellent player, loads of experience with Ajax. So he can absolutely just take that right back spot and relieve some headaches for Julian Nagelsmann. Then you can figure out how you want to structure the center backs. But if there's one spot I'm looking to fortify if I'm Bayern, it's that right back spot, and they've already done that. Going back to Mane for a second here. Robert Lewandowski was the only player on this team with more than 14 Bundesliga goals last season. Serge Gnabry had 14, Thomas Müller had 8. Now, Thomas Müller also had, I believe it was 18 assists. So this is not a question of other players producing. But the big unknown here is what happens with Lewandowski. Of course, he's not going to mess with Sadio Mane, and they're more than capable of playing with each other. But there's a real chance this becomes Sadio Mane's team, which is something we have never seen before. And probably part of the reason why he wanted to leave Liverpool. If Lewandowski leaves, I don't see a way in which Bayern are going to get a comparable replacement, if that even exists. They've already spent money on Mane and on Gravenberch. You can't just take what you're going to get for Lewandowski and go find something similar because it doesn't exist. So you're going to have to go put in the kind of money that Manchester City and Liverpool just spent on their strikers. I don't see Bayern doing that. Maybe this all gets resolved and Lewandowski stays until at least next summer. The way he's talking, doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So all of a sudden, you have the best team in Germany and potentially nobody to score 20-plus goals. Now, everybody's going to pick up a little bit of the slack. It's not like this team is short on goal-scoring options. But that is another part of this that I'm very curious about. Okay, so if Lewandowski leaves, what does this look like? And can Sadio Mane go score 25 league goals as the focal point of an attack? Potentially playing through the middle, as he has more recently at Liverpool when you wanted to get both Diaz and Salah on the field. He can. I'm not sure he will. It's a very, very interesting situation Bayern find themselves in here. So either this is, in my head, this signing is that extra world-class attacking talent to go get yourself back into that conversation with at least the Real Madrids of the world. But it may end up being this is the signing to try and stay afloat while we figure out what we're going to do at striker. And I really like what Borussia Dortmund have done this summer. Well, we'll get into a full Bundesliga preview later, but it makes a lot of sense why Bayern did this, and he could become much more valuable than the money they spent on him if he ends up having to be the primary goal scoring option and he can deliver. Last thing I want to say on Bayern, not necessarily related to Mane, but Alphonso Davies, Ryan Gravenberch, Jamal Musiala, Deo Upamecano. That is an incredible core of players who are, essentially U23s. The top-end talent is not where Bayern wants it right now. I get that, especially if Lewandowski leaves. But there are not many teams in the world that can go throw out 4 players who haven't even reached their primes yet, aren't 25, that have the quality of those 4 players. I mean, you're talking Barcelona can probably, maybe Real Madrid, and then the list gets pretty short. So this is very much transition. Does Mane kind of become the stopgap between the Lewandowski area and whatever happens next? Are they able to hold on to Lewandowski? Time will tell. Regardless, I really like this move for Bayern. This is an opportunity for Mane to take his brand and his game to a whole nother level because he may end up having to be the guy. And I'm a huge fan of what Bayern have done this summer. Will it be enough to get them where they want to be? I'm not sure, but they are certainly better than they were at the end of the season. Jumping from transfer rumors to games on the field, had the first quarterfinal of the U.S. Open Cup Tuesday night. And down go the LA Galaxy. Sacramento Republic outshoot the Galaxy 15-11, get a 2-1 win. Rodrigo Lopez scored in the 4th minute, his 4th goal of the tournament. That is the most of any player. Galaxy get a corner kick in the 18th, get an own goal to equalize, and then Luis Felipe takes a shot from distance that nobody closes down in the 70th minute that gets past Jonathan Klinsmann. Not a good moment for him. He absolutely should have gotten to that ball. Seemed a little late to react and just, yeah, there was some traffic. Maybe he didn't expect Felipe to shoot that. But that's got to be saved. Klinsmann didn't, and so here you go. First USL Championship team to make the semifinals since FC Cincinnati in 2017. You very well may remember that and kind of how that became the propelling force for the move to MLS. And here we are, Sacramento just did the exact same thing. And it's not like this was a bad team the LA Galaxy put out. Chicharito came on in the second half. You had plenty of attacking talent on the field. It wasn't a bunch of second stringers and third stringers in a C squad by any means. And when you go win in El Tráfico to get to the quarters, you can't afford to put out a C squad. Which Greg Vanney absolutely took this seriously. Maybe the players not so much, and you heard some of that from the Sacramento Republic. I saw at least one player saying it just didn't seem like they were taking us very seriously. To me, that's on the players, because Greg Vanney put out a team that absolutely should have won this game. And so you go from winning El Tráfico, that was kind of framed as this is a great opportunity for both of these teams to go get a trophy. They got to go through each other to do it. And then you'll lay a dud and get outplayed by a USL Championship team. This was absolutely a deserved victory for Sacramento. Good for them. This is exactly what the US Open Cup is all about. This is why it's so special. And let's have more of this USL League One, USL Championship, really good performances against MLS teams, please. The more teams show up and perform like this, the more they get that national attention, raises the profile of those leagues, raises the profile of soccer in this country. MLS is not the only league where high-level soccer is played in the United States. Sometimes we forget that. Sacramento Republic just gave us another friendly and a very loud reminder. Your other quarterfinal games, that was the only one to happen last night. Tonight, Wednesday night, New York Red Bulls host NYCFC, Hudson River Derby, and then Sporting Kansas City host Union Omaha. And then your fourth quarterfinal, Orlando hosting Nashville, is actually next Wednesday. So you had one last night, two tonight, one a week from today. And Sacramento Republic is going to get the winner of Sporting Kansas City Union Omaha. So you're either getting a Sporting Kansas City team that has been very poor throughout the MLS regular season and is without two designated players, or you're getting a team in a league below you. We could have a Union Omaha Sacramento Republic semifinal for a spot in the U.S. Open Cup final, which would be absolutely phenomenal. So it's definitely worth paying attention to these games, how these final three quarterfinals play out, semifinals. We're going to have great storylines. We've got our second great rivalry game already. And for Sporting Kansas City, this is a way to salvage your season potentially. It's not quite over yet when it comes to MLS playoffs, but there's just only so much you can do when you lost 2 DPs, including your goal scorer. But they have been really good in this tournament historically. So that's it. That's a fascinating matchup. Again, Union Omaha is the opponent from USL League One, and we'll see how this goes. But every single round this tournament has delivered. It's why I love it so much, and hopefully this helps get a little bit more attention, some more eyeballs on it, so people are more invested, because this really should be a huge deal, and it's just not quite there yet. Staying in MLS and talking about huge deals, had our other big signing of the week in the form of Cucho Hernandez joining the Columbus Crew. Now, the secondary transfer window for Major League Soccer doesn't open until July 7th, so that's when they can actually register him and add him to the roster, so that was worth pointing out. But this is a guy who just turned 23. He has signed through 2025, the end of the 2025 season. And he has played for 3 teams in La Liga and Watford in the Premier League. 11 goals, 7 assists in 79 La Liga appearances with Huesca, Mallorca, and Getafe. 5 goals, 2 assists in 25 appearances. 11 of those were starts for Watford in the Premier League last season. It's a record transfer fee, as it should be, because Columbus was fighting Premier League teams, maybe some championship teams, major teams in major European leagues for Cucho Hernandez's services. This was not a guy who was looking to take a step down, or who wasn't able to cut it at the highest level. And Columbus was able to convince him to come. And so now you have what should be a prolific goal scorer in this league. And again, he is only 23. So you go through the end of the contract. If you sell him in 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to make a boatload of money, because he's already proven he's a proven goal scorer, not at an incredible rate. But go watch his highlights from Watford this season. This guy is remarkably talented. So you've got the added benefit of his value is only theoretically going to go up as he plays for your team as well, because again, he just turned 23. So this is his opportunity to become a star, to be the guy, and then hopefully turn that into a higher profile move in Europe. And this is the guy Caleb Porter has been going after, the guy being a general term for this kind of player for a while now. This is the one spot the Crew just have not gotten what they've wanted from. It's the reason they were willing to trade Gyasi Zardes. It was always going toward we're going to go spend our money on a number 9 and give ourselves a focal point in this attack. Miguel Berry was averaging 0.20 goals per 90 minutes as the primary striker for most of the season. That's not going to cut it. And then Eric Hurtado got some opportunities because Berry was struggling. He's been terrific in those limited opportunities. But I'm going to ask the same question I did at the end of the Columbus Crew section in my power rankings on Substack. Is Eric Hurtado the guy? Is that the solution to this problem? A helpful player in MLS, contributor, never a go-to goal scorer for his team, more of a guy that comes off the bench for most of his MLS career. Again, he's been very good in the limited opportunities. He's taken them and run with them. Good for you, Eric Hurtado. He's absolutely got a role to play here. And he's going to probably get a couple opportunities until Cucho Hernandez is ready to go. But if you're expecting Eric Hurtado to be the guy to lift your team into the playoffs, I just don't see it happening. I don't think Caleb Porter does either, which is why they just went and finally got their striker. So now all of a sudden, you have Cucho Hernandez, Lucas Elrayon, Derek Etienne has been very good as sort of your secondary playmaker, secondary goal scorer, and Darlington Nagbe. A very good goalkeeper in Eloy Room. I have always believed in this team and certainly believe in them now. When they won MLS Cup, I was consistent from start to finish. Well, not the start of the season. But once we got going, it was clear Columbus Crew were the best team in the league. Nagbe got hurt, so they weren't at full strength for a while there. You could see the disparity between when he played and when he didn't. And then they didn't have him for MLS Cup, but they still thrashed the Sounders anyway. That was so clearly the best team in the league. And the core of that team is still in place. And now you just added one of the best, most talented, most proven, most impressive resumes of any player in MLS. They got some work to do to get where they want to be. And, of course, this is not just about this season. This is about 2023 and beyond. But I will never stop believing in that midfield. And the idea of Zelarayan getting to feed Cucho Hernandez is tantalizing. This is, to me, a home run that transforms the Eastern Conference standings. They're not going to go finish up at the top. I don't see them getting anywhere close to NYCFC. Probably not the Red Bulls. Probably not Philly. I mean, it's going to take a little time for this to click, and maybe it doesn't click till next year. But all of a sudden, I'm looking at the Columbus Crew as potentially the team nobody is going to want to play come playoff time if they find a way to get in there. Similar to sort of Wayne Rooney's DC United kind of thing. Or, New England Revolution when Carlos Hill was hurt for most of that season. 2 years ago. I believe they made the Eastern Conference final. That's what we're talking about here. And it also says something about MLS that Columbus was able to make this happen. This wasn't LAFC, this wasn't the Galaxy, this wasn't the Sounders, this wasn't Inter Miami, this wasn't the Red Bulls, this wasn't NYCFC, it was the Columbus Crew. These are the kind of moves that take MLS to another level. And it says something about the league that a player of Cucho Hernandez's pedigree and position in his career was willing to make this move. Because again, there was plenty of interest in Europe, and he chose to come to Columbus. We'll see how this goes. Very, very excited to see him play, and to me, this might end up being the most impactful signing any MLS team makes in the 2022 season, including the offseason heading into this year. Basically, they're the most important, impactful addition to a team for the 2022 season. I really think this could make that much of an impact.